If you make $50,000 a year, you are richer than roughly 95% of every person alive on this planet. Not in some abstract theoretical way, in actual, measurable, confirmed by the World Bank way. The global median income, the exact middle of what every human being on Earth earns, is about $2,920 a year. That means a $50,000 salary is 17 times what half the world lives on. And yet, most people earning that amount would describe themselves as struggling. There's a reason for that, and it has almost nothing to do with money. It has to do with a trap, one that's built into the way your brain processes wealth. And once you see how it works, you can stop falling for it and start using what you already have to actually get ahead. Most of us carry a version of the same feeling. You check your bank account, you look at your bills, and something doesn't add up. You make decent money, you're not reckless with it, but somehow you still feel behind. Behind your coworkers, behind your neighbors, behind some invisible finish line that keeps moving no matter how fast you run. And that feeling isn't random. It's engineered by the way your brain is wired and by the world around you. What you're about to see is the real data, where you actually stand compared to the rest of the world, and why the numbers will surprise you. Then, the psychological trap that keeps you from feeling it. And finally, what to actually do once the trap is visible. The specific moves that turn awareness into real financial progress. Let's start with the numbers. According to the World Inequality Database, an individual earning $35,000 a year enters the global top 10% of all earners. At $60,000, you're in the top 5%. And at around $125,000 to $172,000, depending on the measurement year, you cross into the global top 1%. Now, think about what that means in context. The Pew Research Center classifies anyone earning more than $50 a day, about $18,250 a year, as high income. And only 7% of the world's population qualifies for that category, which means the other 93% earn less than what most Americans would consider a starting salary. And it goes deeper than that. 61% of the world is either poor or low income by Pew's definition. 62% of all people on Earth live on less than $10 a day. 85% live on less than $30. The wealth side is even more striking. The UBS Global Wealth Report shows that the bottom 40% of the world's adults, 1.5 billion people, own just 0.6% of all global wealth. Meanwhile, having a net worth of just $8,654 puts you in the wealthier half of humanity. But here's the problem. Most people don't actually know their number. They don't know their net worth. They don't know their savings rate. They just check their bank balance and hope for the best. And that's exactly why we created Wally, a free app that shows you exactly where your money goes. No bank login required. You can download it from the link in the description. So if you have a modest savings account, a car, and some money in a retirement fund, you are wealthier than billions of people. That's not a motivational quote. That's what the data says. But here's the question that should bother you. If the numbers are that clear, why doesn't it feel that way? And the answer to that question changes everything about how you think about money. The reason it doesn't feel like enough starts with how your brain was built. In 1954, psychologist Leon Festinger described something called social comparison theory. And what he found was that humans have an innate drive to evaluate themselves, not against objective measures, but against the people closest to them. We don't compare our income to the global median. We compare it to our coworker's new car, our neighbor's kitchen renovation, our friend's vacation photos scrolling past on Instagram. And that's why proximity matters more than reality. Economist Erzo Lutmer confirmed this in a study that found, controlling for your own income, higher earnings among your neighbors are associated with lower self-reported happiness. You could be doing well by every objective measure, and it still wouldn't feel like it if the people next to you appear to be doing better. But that's not the only thing working against you. A study by Solnick and Hemingway asked people to choose between two options: earn $50,000 while everyone around you earns $25,000, or earn $100,000 while everyone around you earns $200,000. Same prices in both scenarios. About half the respondents chose the lower salary, 50% less real purchasing power, just to feel like they were ahead. That's how powerful the comparison instinct is. Then there's what happens when you actually get ahead. In 1978, researchers studied lottery winners and found they were not significantly happier than a control group. The thrill faded. The baseline reset. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. No matter what you achieve financially, your sense of satisfaction returns to roughly the same level. And Tal Ben-Shahar at Harvard gave it a name that makes it even clearer: the arrival fallacy. The belief that reaching a certain milestone will bring lasting happiness. It almost never does. And this is exactly why lifestyle inflation is so dangerous. The U.S. personal savings rate has stayed around 4 to 5% for decades, even as incomes have grown substantially. When people earn more, they spend more. The finish line moves, and the feeling of not enough stays exactly where it was. So if comparison keeps you focused on the wrong things, and adaptation erases the gains you do make, then the question becomes, what actually works? Understanding where you stand changes your perspective. But perspective alone doesn't build wealth. So here's what the research says actually moves the needle. Start with automation. Behavioral economists Richard Thaler and Shlomo Benartzi designed a program called Save More Tomorrow, where employees committed in advance to saving a portion of future raises. The results were remarkable. 98% of participants stayed in the program through 2 pay raises, and average savings rates went from 3.5% to 13.6% in just 40 months. And Vanguard data confirms it at scale. Automatic enrollment in retirement plans triples participation, from 28% to 91%. The insight here isn't complicated. Don't rely on willpower. Set up the system once, and the system does the rest. Once automation is handling your savings, the next step is finding the money you're already losing. C&R research found that consumers estimated they spent $86 a month on subscriptions. The actual number? $219, 2.5 times their own estimate. And 42% of people are paying for subscriptions they've completely stopped using. That's money disappearing every month for nothing. Then there's the emergency cushion, and this is where the numbers get surprising. The Federal Reserve found that 37% of Americans can't cover a $400 emergency with cash. But Vanguard research showed that having just $2,000 in emergency savings produces a 21% increase in financial well-being. And here's the part that surprised even the researchers. That effect was as powerful as having $1 million in total assets. You don't need a fortune to feel financially stable. You need a floor. And once that floor is in place, the math of savings rates starts working in your favor. At a 10% savings rate, financial independence takes about 51 years. At 25%, 32 years. At 50%, 17 years. The takeaway is clear. Your savings rate matters more than your income. And reducing spending is doubly powerful because it simultaneously increases what you save and decreases what you need to live on. But here's what none of these steps can do on their own. They can't work until you see the thing that's been working against you this entire time. Remember the trap from the beginning, the one built into the way your brain processes wealth? Now you've seen how it works. Comparison, adaptation, a finish line designed to move. But once you see that clearly, the question changes. It stops being, why don't I have enough, and becomes, what am I doing with what I already have? And that shift, from scarcity to strategy, is where real financial progress begins. So here's the move. Automate your savings so discipline isn't required. Audit the subscriptions you've forgotten about. Build a $2,000 floor, because the research says that alone changes how secure you feel. And then let your savings rate, not your income, set the timeline. You are almost certainly richer than you think. Not because of some motivational platitude, because the data says so. And now that you know that, the only question left is what you're going to do with it. If this shifted how you think about your money, there are more videos on this channel that go deeper into the hidden systems, the psychology, and the practical steps that actually build wealth over time. Pick the one that speaks to where you are right now.